Hi, and welcome to Scenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
Today, we're diving into a B vitamin that's really shaking up the conversation around supplements. It's called 5-MTH-folate. And honestly, understanding the science behind it might just change the way you think about nutrition for good.
Look, we've all heard of folic acid, right? It's in everything from prenatal vitamins to fortified cereal. But what if I told you there's a more direct, more effective form out there? That's the big question we're digging into.
All right, first things first. Before we can even start comparing different forms, we got to get a solid handle on what folate is and why our bodies are so dependent on it.
So at its heart, folate is a B vitamin, but that's kind of underselling it. You should think of it more like a master architect for your body, working at the most fundamental cellular level. It's not just good for you, it's absolutely essential for the processes that literally keep you up and running every single day.
I mean, just look at its job description. It's involved in creating and fixing the very blueprint of life, your DNA. It helps build the red blood cells that carry oxygen everywhere. It's famous for preventing certain birth defects. But beyond that, it helps manage something called homocysteine for your heart health and even has a hand in creating the neurotransmitters that control your mood. It really is a master builder.
Okay, but here's where the plot thickens. Getting that amazing folate into your system isn't always straightforward, especially when we're talking about the most common synthetic form, folic acid.
So when you take a standard folic acid supplement, your body can't just use it. Nope, it has to go on this whole journey. It heads to your liver, where a very specific enzyme, you can see it there, MTHFR, has to work its magic and convert it into the final active form that your cells actually know what to do with. It's a whole process.
And here's the kicker. That conversion process doesn't run smoothly for everybody. In fact, for a huge chunk of the population, that metabolic pathway is less like a superhighway and more like a rush hour traffic jam. It creates this bottleneck that really limits how much active folate actually gets to where it needs to go.
So why the traffic jam? Well, a lot of the time, it comes down to our genes. There's a really common genetic variation, known as the MTHFR gene mutation, that directly affects that key enzyme we just talked about. If you have this variation, your enzyme is just not as good at its job, and that's what creates the slowdown in the system. So if the big problem is that tricky conversion process, well, the most logical solution would be to just skip it, right? And that right there is exactly where 5-MTHF enters the picture.
And this is the whole shebang. 5-MTHF is the finished product. It's the exact bioavailable form of folate your body was trying so hard to make from folic acid. By taking it directly, you bypass all those tricky conversion steps. You're giving your cells the final, ready-to-use version from the get-go.
Here's a great way to think about it. Folic acid is like a piece of flat-pack furniture. Your body has to get the instructions, find the tools, and build it. And if you have that genetic variation, it's like the instructions are blurry. But 5-MTH, that's the fully built chair delivered to your door, ready to use immediately. It just works, no assembly required. And when you put them side by side, the science is pretty clear. Whether you're talking about absorption, overall effectiveness, or even its ability to manage those homocysteine levels for heart health, 5-MTHS just has a clear advantage. It's simply more direct, and because of that, it's often more effective.
Okay, so the science is cool, but let's get practical. Where does this stuff really matter? Let's look at the key areas where having a more bioavailable form of folate can make a huge, tangible difference in our health.
For prenatal health, this is a real game changer. Preventing neural tube defects is all about having enough folate during the earliest days of pregnancy. With 5-MTHF, that active folate is available right away, making sure the developing baby gets what it needs, when it needs it most. No delays. Now let's talk about the heart. There's an amino acid called homocysteine, and high levels of it are a known risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Because 5-MTFH is so much more efficient at managing these levels, it offers a more direct and powerful way to support a healthy heart.
And we absolutely cannot forget the brain. Folate is a key ingredient for making neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that regulate our mood, like serotonin and dopamine. More and more research suggests that giving the body active folate can be a really valuable piece of the puzzle for supporting our mental well-being.
So we've covered the science and the applications. Now for the most important question of all. What does any of this mean for you, personally?
Right. This is what it all boils down to. With all this information, are there certain people who should really be paying attention and maybe thinking about 5-MTHF over traditional folic acid?
And the evidence says, absolutely. If you know for a fact you have that MTHFR gene variation, you are at the top of the list. But so are women who are pregnant or planning to be, people who are focused on their heart health, and even those navigating certain neurological conditions. For all these groups, the directness of 5-MTHF is a pretty significant benefit.
Okay, before we go any further, I have to pause and say this, and it is critically important. This is all for your information. It is not medical advice. Any decision about starting a new supplement has to be a conversation between you and your doctor, period.
The main takeaway here is that this is not a one-size-fits-all situation. Things like side effects, potential drug interactions, and especially the right dosage, that's all totally individual. Getting professional advice is the only way to do this safely and make sure it's actually effective for you.
And you know, it really all comes down to this idea. While the science clearly points to 5-MTHF as being a more direct and often superior form of folate, that's not the end of the story. The real question isn't just which one is better, but rather, what is best for me? And answering that question, with a professional by your side, is the smartest step you can possibly take for your health.
Thank you for watching Scenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit scenario.com. See you in the next one.